Welcome to another episode of the AE Sports Podcast. My name's Art, here with my brother Alex.
What's going on, guys? What's going on?
Alex, big weekend in the NFL. We had the four divisional games. We covered the wild card matchups last week. We previewed the divisional matchups earlier this week, and now we're going to go over each of the four matchups, starting with the Rams going to Green Bay, and unfortunately coming up just a bit short. They lost 32-18 to the Green Bay Packers in Lambeau. What'd you think of this game? I mean, it was a good game, but I think it was closer than we expected.
Yeah, I thought it was close in the first half, but once the second half came around, I think just Aaron Rodgers was able to put it on the money, and once he found his rhythm, it was over.
You know, the Rams defense for a little bit was able to keep the game in check. That end of the first half, Goff and Akers went down the field to score, but then Rodgers drove down and they ended up kicking a field goal at the end of that first half and then getting the ball back to start the second half. But the Rams, the defense kept them in there just a little bit, just enough to keep it close. But like you said, in the end, Aaron Rodgers just proved to be too much. Any players that stand out to you in this game? Mainly for the Packers?
I mean, not really. I mean, I knew they were going to have to spread the ball around. I think Robert Tonyan had a really good game. Alan Lazard had a good game. Valdez-Scantling made some good catches as well. And Devontae Adams did great as he always does. So, yeah. And I think they did a good job of mixing in the three running backs. So I thought that was good too. Aaron Jones, A.J. Dillon, and Jamal Williams all got some touches. So, yeah, overall, I think their defense also played really good. Yeah. So I think it was a good team effort overall.
I think the Packers' defense is a little underrated. Their front seven isn't as good, but their passing defense is very, very good. We saw some Jair Alexander make some great plays. I think he was only targeted like twice, 2 or 3 times, something like that. And he made a great play. But for the most part, he held his receivers in check. He wasn't thrown at too much.
Did anything stand out to you? Any players?
Honestly, from the Rams side, it was Aaron Donald. And Aaron Donald's lack of pressure, lack of containment in the run game. It just he wasn't 100%. And I understand he went out there and he tried to, play. But to some extent, it's like, hey, if you're not helping the team, you're better off on the sidelines. And they were able to get a good pass rush against the Seahawks without Aaron Donald last week, but this week they just weren't able to generate quite the same pass rush against Aaron Rodgers and the Packers. But props to Aaron Rodgers getting the ball out early and not giving them time to really pressure. Any last thoughts on this game?
No, I think we covered most of it.
The Packers will be hosting the NFC Championship game on Sunday. Let's move on to the Ravens going to Buffalo and pretty much getting shut down by that Buffalo defense. Talk to me about this Buffalo Bills team, because I don't know, you had some things to say about Buffalo before this game. Do you still think the same? Do you still think Buffalo's an overrated team?
Yeah.
Okay.
I still do. I think they still have one more game to prove it. So, I don't know. I think when you have a Ravens team that all they can do is run the ball, because their passing game is mediocre at best, maybe not even good enough to be mediocre.
Okay.
They just can't get a passing game. And they need to fix that. I don't even know if it's fixable. Because you can have this great defense and just nothing to show for it.
Do you think it's a Lamar Jackson issue, or do you think?
Oh, it's definitely a Lamar Jackson issue. He needs to figure out if he wants to be a quarterback or a running back. Because
Really?
It's absolutely
that
ridiculous.
bad?
It's bad. To me, it's bad.
I think. Okay.
No, look, this is the problem. When you have a quarterback that thinks running first, that's gonna mess up his progressions wherever. To me, it just has never worked. Look at Michael Vick, one of the best rushing quarterbacks there ever was, right? One of the fastest QBs. He just never got to a Super Bowl, right?
No. But
he never got to a Super Bowl.
He was also not on very good teams. The Falcons team he was on was not good. The Eagles team he was on later in his career was not good.
Okay, but he still didn't make it to a Super Bowl. So
no, Lamar Jackson I think has a better team around him, but his receiving core. I mean, Marquise Brown is a good receiver, but he's not. Lamar Jackson doesn't have an elite receiver to throw the ball to. At least in my opinion. And,
he doesn't.
You know, he relies a lot on his tight ends. They lost Hayden Hurst over the offseason. And, you know, Hayden Hurst, even though he didn't have as many receptions as like Mark Andrews did, he was still a significant part of the offense. So losing that and not really having another tight end, Marquise Brown, Willie Snead, just these guys are not, they don't get separation. They don't get open.
Yeah. Mark Andrews just...
Yeah, I mean, Mark Andrews is good, but eventually, you know, they shut him down and the receivers can't get open. Yeah. So, I mean, part of it probably is on Lamar Jackson, but I think part of it, too, is on his receiving core. He just doesn't have the receivers to make the plays for him.
It's bad. I don't know what else they need to put some... They obviously need to go and trade or get a legit wide receiver for him because... Other than that, they're just going to be running in place. It looks like Lamar Jackson just doesn't have it. To me, at least. I don't know in this game. How do you throw a 101-yard interception? Like, what? I wrote a little song. I don't know if you guys want to hear it. Do you think I should
go ahead
sing it on this podcast?
Go for it.
Yeah, you know what? I'm just going to say it. I'm going to save it.
All right.
I think Lamar Jackson's gone through enough. I think this is... And it upsets me. Because it makes me look like I don't know anything about football. I picked the Ravens to win last week. And I picked the Ravens for the upset. Dude. I was on their side. I told everybody, you know what? Lamar Jackson, he may be proving people wrong. He may be proving people that he is a playoff quarterback, that he can make the big throws, that he can win the big games to get them there. I spoke too soon.
Yeah.
I spoke too soon, and I'm sick of it.
You're sick of yourself?
Yeah, I am sick of myself, man, because that should have been a pick where I got it right.
Okay, now let's talk about the Bills because the Bills are the ones moving on. What do you think of the Bills' offense? I think Baltimore's a legit defense, and the Bills' offense wasn't able to move the ball, too much. And I think we'll talk about the Chiefs coming up here. In the next matchup, but do you think the Bills' offense is going to be able to move the ball against the Chiefs if they struggled against the Ravens?
I don't know. You know what? I feel like the Chiefs play I feel like overall their team is just better. Okay. I feel like they just play, but maybe they don't have the defensive weapons that the Ravens have. Mm-hmm. But I feel like they play better overall as a team.
Yeah.
If you look at it, the Ravens couldn't really get pressure on Josh Allen. And even when they did get pressure on them, even if their defense did get some stops, their offense just couldn't do anything. They were just stuck in the mud. 3-17 from a MVP quarterback that people were anointing this guy the next Michael Vick, the anything. I don't know what he was trying to prove in this, but I'm at a loss for words. 3 points. That's it. That's all you got to show for it in a playoff game. You think 3 points is going to cut it against anybody? When you get to this stage, do you think 3 points will cut it?
Well, of course not.
It's ridiculous. It really is.
Yeah, it was bad.
What did you see in this game?
I think
what happened?
I think the Bills' defense is a lot better than people think. They were able to get pressure on Lamar Jackson. A lot of times he wasn't able to step up and run in the pocket because they were collapsing the outside and then collapsing the middle, which is important to keep Lamar Jackson in the pocket and keep him from running around too much. And like I said, the receivers couldn't get open. Just Lamar Jackson, for the most part, had nowhere to throw. And when he did throw, he had to throw in tight windows and in really close into really bad coverages. I don't know. I just think the offense just completely fell apart for the Ravens. The Bills' defense is good, but the Ravens just weren't creative enough, I think.
Where if you're the head coach, if you're the owner, where do you go from here? What pieces are you looking to fill in?
Well, I don't know, because we saw it at the beginning of the season for the Ravens. Their offense wasn't that good at the beginning of the season. They couldn't get the ball moving.
Okay.
Lamar Jackson couldn't throw the ball properly. He just didn't have guys open. They figured it out towards the middle and down the stretch, and then we saw another poor performance from the offense. I think the offensive coordinator has got to go.
Hey, that makes sense.
I think that's a one step. Bring in a creative offensive coordinator and maybe bring in a weapon on the outside to help Lamar Jackson, because, I mean, he can't do it all himself. I mean, he tried last year, and then this year it just seems like everybody figured him out. You know, all the teams figured out Lamar Jackson, stop him from running and may force him to throw the ball.
You know, I was looking up a lot of social media, and it looks like even Ravens fans are just giving up on Lamar Jackson. Yeah, that's what it looks like. I'm not saying that that's what's happening, but that's what it looks like to me. They're blaming Lamar Jackson, saying, you know what, this guy gets us to the playoffs, and then he just stinks it up.
Comes up
or
short.
This entire team gets us to where we want to be, and they just completely fall apart. Mm-hmm. They can't do anything, and it sucks because they have very good weapons on that defense. They have a defensive line that controls the line of scrimmage whenever they want. They got Patrick Queen from the draft. Mm-hmm. They have really good corners. They have J.K. Dobbins, an elite. I think he's a really good running back,
and he's only going to get better.
Yeah, I think Lamar Jackson is a exceptional quarterback. I'm not going to say he's great, nor am I going to say he's. We need to see if he can get the white weapons around him, maybe an elite wide receiver like a Devontae Adams, a Stephon Diggs, somebody that's always going to be open, a Tyreek Hill, somebody. And yeah, I mean, they have Hollywood Brown, Mark Andrews, and yet they still can't. 3 points.
Yeah, 3 points.
Something's got to change. Something.
All right. So the Bills they were wondering if they were going to be hosting or visiting in the championship round, and they will be going to Kansas City.
Sorry, guys. I'm very upset. I was very upset. You know what? I said I picked the Ravens. I was telling people, you know what? The Bills are overrated, which I think they are. And look at the Ravens show this. It's awful.
The Browns went to Kansas City, and I thought they put up a pretty good fight against the Kansas City Chiefs. The Chiefs ended up winning at the end, 22-17. As you can see by the picture we have up, I think the big story is definitely Patrick Mahomes and the concussion. Okay.
Now, what exactly happened? If you go back and look at that hit in slow motion, it looked like his helmet didn't even touch the floor, which I thought that was what initially happened.
It was strange. What Andy Reid said in the post-game press conference was that he got hit in the back of the head. Oh. And if you go back and look, if you
maybe
look
a forearm.
If you look at this picture right here, number 51, don't know his name, but when he goes to tackle Mahomes, it seems like his arm hit the back of the helmet.
Oh, wow. He was trying to wrap him?
Yeah, not intentionally. You know, it was an accident, but I don't know. Now, I don't know if this was the exact play where Mahomes got hurt, but it looked like it could have been. But it looked like the forearm hit like the back of Mahomes' helmet. It also looked like his face mask hit the floor a little bit, but not too hard. But the way he tried to get up and just couldn't get up, that was scary. That was very, very scary because he was on wobbly legs. His teammates had to hold him up. The refs did the right thing and got him out of there right away. He went straight to the back and pretty much, instantly you knew that he was going to be out, and they reported him out. The second thing is he had a toe injury, a big toe injury. I don't know if you caught some of the injury, but he was limping pretty bad for a little bit.
It was actually was that the end of the first half? Or
in the first
when
quarter,
that started happening?
End of the first quarter, I think, when after Kelsey scored that touchdown, he came up limping. He went under the blue tent. I guess they taped up his foot,
and his throws looked really off.
He couldn't move as well. He was limping around the whole time. So, I mean, one thing is the concussion. Another thing is that toe injury, because we know how much moving around is in Mahomes' repertoire now. He can stand in the pocket and throw with the best quarterbacks in the league, but it helps when you can move around, especially against a Bills defense next week. So let's get back to this game right here. I thought Mayfield and the Browns played a pretty good game. I think in the end, I think they were a little too conservative. What do you think? What did you see from this game?
Yeah. I mean, I think they were conservative. They couldn't really get much going in the run game. I felt like Nick Chubb just couldn't get going. Fortunately for them, I think Kareem Hunt was able to get into the end zone, and then in that second half, they were able to find Jarvis Landry open. They were able to find Rashard Higgins, Austin Hooper with a really good clutch catch that they really needed at that time. They were doing good. But the thing is, for me, is Patrick Mahomes went out. I mean, what are the odds that a guy like Patrick Mahomes is going to be taken out of the game and you still can't win it?
I mean, they were already far behind.
No. I think, no, well, they actually had a chance. They had the ball at a drive, and then what happened? Was there an interception, or was
they had to punt it away?
They had to punt it away, right? Yeah, I mean, you have Chad Henne in there, the backup. You want to try to, I don't know, take advantage of something like this. It's not going to be every game that Patrick Mahomes is out, and they couldn't do it.
Chad Henne had I believe it was like 3rd and 15, and he ran and he got 14 yards. And then he threw that little pass to Tyreek Hill that sealed the game. But Chad
Henne, 5 and out. That's all that happened.
It wasn't even a 5 and out. It was like a 1 and out. That's all it was.
2 and out.
Just to get the first down.
When you have a guy that runs as fast as Tyreek Hill, that's just a diversity it gives you. He can run a little seam up, and the defense is just so afraid of getting beat that, hey, just go a little 2 yard and out.
Yeah.
He ends up getting 7 yards on that play.
Yeah. And then he ended up sliding so he could stay in bounds.
Talk about speed.
The Browns on that 4th down, you were talking about that 4th down where they punted at the end. I thought they should have gone for it. I mean,
what was there, 4 minutes left?
It was 4 minutes left. You're down 5.
How many timeouts did they have left?
I think they had 2. I think they had 2 timeouts.
And the 2-minute warning. It could have been something.
I'm just saying, if I understand where you are on the field, but you're down 5. Chad Henne's at quarterback. You could have stopped them and had them kick a field goal, and then you're only down 8. But they decided to not go for it, and it just why not give Baker Mayfield a chance? Because I thought Baker Mayfield played a pretty good game. Wasn't the perfect game by any means. He made a few mistakes. The Chiefs defense had pressure on him, and Tyrann Mathieu just he is so good, man. Just throughout the game, you could just see him flying everywhere and pass coverages on run stops. He's out forcing guys inside when they're trying to go outside, and he probably
great
doesn't
at
have,
reading the quarterback.
Yeah, he probably won't have the stats for it, but you could tell that he just makes a difference on the field on defense for the Chiefs.
I think the Chiefs overall played a really good defensive game.
Yeah, on defense they were really good. I know the score was a lot closer than what they would have liked it to be, but I think they played a really good game. You know what? For the adversity that they had to face, I think they played a good game. Yeah, and it, like we said, we'll be previewing the AFC and NFC championship games later this week. Hopefully we get an update on Mahomes sooner rather than later. I'm guessing Wednesday or Thursday we'll find out if he's going to play or not.
Apparently that they're leaning on Patrick Mahomes playing next week because they're saying it's a concussion protocol, but the concussion was never confirmed.
Well, okay. The concussion protocol is tricky because you could have a concussion and pass the protocol in 3 or 4 days.
Yeah, well, you're Patrick Mahomes. It's football. I guarantee you he's not a Jared Goff where they're going to keep him out. I feel like this game, they're going to bring him in.
Okay,
he will pass it.
But the concussion protocol is different because it's administered by the league.
Yeah,
it's not administered by the Chiefs. And I get it. The conspiracies that it's Mahomes. The league wants Mahomes in there. If you do what's best for the player, and if Mahomes is not 100%, then and he doesn't pass the protocols or the tests or whatever, then he won't be out there. He shouldn't be out there against the Bills. And you're going to laugh at me, but I don't care. He shouldn't be out there.
There's a lot of things that shouldn't be.
The way he got up.
Lamar Jackson shouldn't be.
The way he got up, there was no reason for him to come back into the game.
Oh, definitely. I agree with that one.
And that's what scares me, because he could go to sleep tonight, wake up tomorrow, and not feel like he did after, a couple minutes on the field, the adrenaline, say you passed the initial test. Okay, well, you're still in the concussion protocol. You wake up tomorrow and you're like, oh, crap, this is worse than it was yesterday. Brain injuries are really serious. So,
yeah.
And also the big toe. The big toes, I think, can be even worse than the concussion protocol if he does play, because that toe is going to limit his mobility. They still didn't confirm if it was like turf toe or anything like that. So, if he's out there, it's one thing. But if you have a Mahomes out there at 50%, 60%, I don't know how much, how smart is that to send him out there like that. And I think Chad Henne did a fairly good job. Andy Reid had some great play calls for him. So I think Henne's going to get most of the snaps, first team reps this week in practice. There's a chance Mahomes plays, but it's a serious situation to monitor.
No, it's definitely a serious situation, but I think for me at least, it's the Bills versus the Chiefs. And I feel like it's just too big of a game for Patrick Mahomes not to be in it. When you have this sense that, what would it be if Patrick Mahomes just wasn't in this game? So I just have a sense that, Patrick Mahomes is going to be out there.
Yeah.
And I hope he's doing good.
Dude,
I hope he's doing good.
I hope the same thing. I hope that Mahomes is out there. I hope he recovers quickly. I hope it was just like a quick shot to the head where he, kind of saw some stars, but it was nothing serious.
Oh, he was definitely seeing something, man, because he got up and boy, was his legs wobbly. He was doing the stanky leg in there, man. I was like, oh man, this is not good.
Yeah. So I mean, I hope it was, just like a quick thing, but, like I said, we've seen guys in concussion protocols for weeks, 2 to 3 weeks in the concussion protocol. We've seen guys get out of it in 2 or 3 days. It is.
I actually, the reason why I felt like Patrick Mahomes is gonna play in against the Bills is because I was watching the post game the post game show or whatever it's called with Michael Strahan, those other analysts, and it seemed to them that he was leaning on him playing. It seemed like that's the way it was heading towards. So yeah, that's why I was thinking that.
We'll definitely see. Like we said earlier, they will be hosting the Buffalo Bills. So
do you have any last thoughts on this game? Anything that surprised you? Anything at all that just stood out?
Chiefs run game was terrible.
Oh, they didn't have a run. They didn't have a run. That's not that I saw.
And I know that you could put the ball in Mahomes' hands. And
what's happened with Clyde Edwards-Helaire? Did he have surgery?
Ankle injury. No, ankle injury.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I know he was injured from something, but
ankle injury, and he was out today. So I'm sure they hope they can get him back for next week. Because J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards, I think, had a decent game against the Bills. So I think Clyde Edwards-Helaire could definitely have a good game against the Bills if he's available to play. All right, moving on to the last game of the weekend. We had the Tampa Bay Buccaneers go to New Orleans and pull the upset against Drew Brees and the New Orleans Saints.
Thank God they pulled that upset because everybody was probably already saying, "Oh, you went for the Ravens? What? You don't know anything about football." I already know how people are.
You picked the Ravens to upset, and you picked the Buccaneers to upset, and you were right on this one. I picked the Saints. I thought they were gonna
dumb Ravens.
I thought they were gonna the Saints. I thought the Saints were gonna come out and play some good defense and have the offense rolling like they did to finish the season. But man, they couldn't do anything.
I really don't know how to explain this. It seemed like the Buccaneers just weren't firing on all cylinders like I thought they would. In the first half, it was 13-13. I was like, okay, at least they're not getting killed.
Yeah.
Right? At least they're close. And it just seemed like Tom Brady was so confident that tide was going to shift in the second half.
Yeah.
To me, even I felt it. It was like, you know what? Maybe Tom Brady has them right where he wants them.
Yeah.
In a close game where they feel they're just going to pull away in the second half.
Mm-hmm. And they did. The defense stepped up for the Buccaneers. They picked off Drew Brees twice in the second half, once in the first half. I think the pick in the first half was a pick six. Then Devin White picked up a fumble.
Was it because I know in one of those interceptions to Jared Cook, right, where it hit his arm. Was it Jared Cook?
Yeah, it bounced off his arm.
Yeah, it bounced off his arm. Now, was that Drew Brees' fault, or was that just
I think that was
the receiver?
Jared Cook just kind of underestimated the throw, or he ran the route different. There was some kind of miscommunication. He tried to catch it with his body. It hit off his bicep and bounced off for the interception. I don't know if that was Drew Brees' fault. I don't know if that was Cook's fault. I'm going to put it on Cook because, I mean, it bounced off his bicep. I think
I felt like he could have used a little bit more hands.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly. Especially when you get up that high. He got up there pretty high.
Yeah, he got up there.
But Alvin Kamara didn't seem like he could get going in this game.
He had a decent game.
He had a decent game, but
not the game that we're used to seeing.
Yeah, or the type of game that the Saints would need from Kamara in order to pull out a victory in this type of game. Michael Thomas, you can see him on the screen, 0 catches.
I saw
only
that.
4 targets. He's not involved at all. He had one catch that was ruled out of bounds where he was in the end zone and it looked like he had caught it, but he was ruled out of bounds because his elbow hit out of bounds first. But other than that, he was really silent in this game. We saw Jameis Winston throw a 56-yard touchdown to Traquan Smith on a trick play. Nice trick play. And before I talk about Jameis Winston, do you have anything else to say about the Buccaneers? Because, I mean, you pretty much covered it. Oh, I had one more thing. You have anything else to say about the Buccaneers?
About the Buccaneers? Let's see. You know what? I felt Leonard Fournette had a really good game.
That's what I was going to say.
I felt Ronald Jones was a little iffy. Still
hurt.
Yeah. It looked like he just wasn't 100%.
Yeah.
But Leonard Fournette did really good. I think Tom Brady did just a good job of spreading the ball around and just, I don't know, picking apart that Saints defense. It's not easy to pick apart a Saints defense. Okay, they have an exceptional defense. So, I just think overall it was a good team win because the defense. Hey, you're gonna need to stop the Saints at one point, and they did that 3 times. 3 big interceptions, and that just. When you throw 3 interceptions against a guy like Tom Brady, you better have your head straight because not too many people win that game.
I believe 2 of the 3 interceptions and the fumble gave the Buccaneers field position in New Orleans territory.
Every interception was in good field position, huh?
Yeah, pretty much.
Killed them.
Excuse me, yeah. So
was there anything that you saw from the Buccaneers?
I was going to bring up Leonard Fournette and Ronald Jones. I thought they ran the ball really, really well. Help close out the game, eat some clock towards the end. But I thought Fournette had a good game throughout. Ronald Jones, like you said, he did look a little iffy. He looked like he just couldn't cut. He had a spin move where it looked like he came out of the spin move kind of weird. He just, straight line running, he could run good. But once he had a move, he looked like that. His leg and his hip were bothering him. But
what'd you think about that Chris Godwin drop in the end zone? Do you think that should have been a catch?
No, that's a drop.
That was a drop. Do you think was that a ball that Chris Godwin should have caught?
Well, I mean, he did catch it. He had it in his hands. But
but I mean all the way through the motion.
When you come to the ground like that, it is difficult. Like, having it in your hands, you fall that hard. But I mean, it seemed like he had it firmly in his hands until he hit the ground, and unfortunately when he hit the ground he did hit pretty hard, and that's what knocked the ball loose. But yeah, I don't think it wasn't a catch for sure. He probably should have caught it, but when you hit the floor that hard, it's hard to hold on to the ball like that.
What did you see from the Saints offense? What was it that they just couldn't get going? Because I know, is his name Deontay Harris or what is his name?
Mm-hmm. The kick return?
Yeah, he was getting some good field position on some of those kick returns. What was it that they just couldn't convert those into points or into touchdowns?
I don't know. It seemed like their offense was, I don't know if it was not clicking or if the Buccaneers defense was just that much better in this game. I think the Buccaneers, deserve most of the credit for slowing down and keeping Drew Brees and Michael Thomas in check, pretty much shutting out Michael Thomas, keeping Alvin Kamara in check and making other guys beat him. We saw Traquan Smith have a couple good catches. Other than the touchdown, he was involved, but they made other guys beat them, and Drew Brees, couldn't get it to those other playmakers.
Yeah.
Speaking of Drew Brees, this seems like and most likely will be the last game for Drew Brees in the NFL. Just, you want to say anything about Drew Brees? I figured we could finish this podcast talking about Drew Brees a little bit.
Listen, Drew Brees being in the league since what, 03, 02? Since
I think it was 02.
He's the last of our era, if you think about it. Phillip Rivers is still playing, but Peyton Manning's gone.
I think Brady and Brees are
Brady and Brees, right? Let's see. Who else was around at that time? Roethlisberger's he's on his last year or on his way out.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like Drew Brees has really, he's just one of the best quarterbacks to ever do it. Mm-hmm. I don't care whether Saints fans despise him right now because, they probably feel like this was their last chance at just a Super Bowl run, Mm-hmm. Now without Drew Brees, you have a quarterback that was on the money for
many years.
Yeah, many years before this year, Mm-hmm. And still he was able to, even in a year where it didn't look like he had much left in him, he was able to get you to almost an NFC divisional title, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or a divisional title game. Drew Brees is one of the best to ever do it, and tip my hat off to him. But unfortunately, it does suck when he just played until he didn't have anything left.
Yeah,
he just didn't have it anymore, and I think we finally saw that.
And who's to say he doesn't have it?
A
couple things that I heard and read. Post game. Peyton Manning didn't seem like he had it in that last season, but the defense was able to carry him and carry the team, the Broncos. But, Drew Brees in this game, he really, really looked shaken up. He didn't look as confident. He did look a little shaken up in this game. But hey, if we talk about his career, I'm always going to remember, him being a Charger. I believe he had a shoulder injury that led to him becoming a free agent. If I remember the story correctly, he probably wasn't supposed to play anymore. He wasn't, or he was advised not to play anymore. He gets signed by the Saints as a free agent, dude, as a free agent, and probably becomes the best, if not one of the best free agent signings in the history of any sport. Because to get a guy like Drew Brees on out of free agency pretty much for free because you don't have to trade anything, that's huge for an organization. And his longevity with the Saints, the Super Bowl in 2009? No. 2000. Yeah, I think it was 2009.
I think so.
If I'm not mistaken. Drew Brees just did so much for the city and the organization. There was some controversial stuff before this year, but put that to the side of real quick. He definitely showed the world that little guys can play because he's a shorter quarterback. He is very short for a quarterback, and he, against all odds, he was able to put together a Hall of Fame career. Definitely Hall of Fame.
Definitely Hall of Fame career. I actually looked up some of his accomplishments. If you don't mind, I would like to say just a few of them because, listen, this list goes on and on.
Go for it.
You're talking about a guy here that broke Peyton Manning's, all-time yard record, all-time touchdown record. Talk about records, right? Let's see. I'm just going to go over a few of them. I don't want to go over all of them because it's a long list. And don't think we have that type of time. 50,000. He's the fastest player to reach 50,000 career passing yards, 183 games. Fastest player to reach 60,000 career passing yards. Fastest player to reach 70,000 career passing yards. First player to reach 80,000 career passing yards. Now, I'm going to read a couple of his accomplishments. He's a Super Bowl champion, Super Bowl MVP, two-time NFL Offensive Player of the Year, Walter Payton NFL Man of the Year in 2006, NFL Comeback Player of the Year in 2004, first-team All-Pro, four-time second-team All-Pro, 13-time Pro Bowler, seven-time NFL passing yards leader. I mean, the list goes on and on. Four-time NFL passing touchdowns leader. I mean, you don't get these type of accomplishments without being a Hall of Fame quarterback, and that's exactly what Drew Brees is. I don't care what anybody says about him. I feel one of the best to ever do it.
Yep.
No doubt.
Oh,
and I'll be, and even though I don't like the Saints, or I don't, it's a Hall of Fame career, and it sucks, man, but you do know what they say. Father Time waits for no man.
And he's undefeated.
And unfortunately, it is his time, and what is it? Do you think he retires and calls it a career?
I think so. I don't think this season, even though, as successful as they were, I don't think this season was a Drew Brees season. Definitely, to be honest, I think their defense carried them. Alvin Kamara played really well throughout the season. Michael Thomas was out most of the year. He couldn't really get things going with the other receivers. I really don't think this was a Drew Brees season. So,
I mean, there was just a lot of talk about his arm. He doesn't have the arm. And you know what? It might just be me, but I was actually having a good talk with one of my friends that Drew Brees is, if you look at his arms, if you remember Drew Brees back maybe 2 seasons ago or even a season ago, he's one of those quarterbacks that's pretty built. Yeah. You know what I mean? But it even looks like his arms got smaller,
a little thinner.
Yeah, it might just be that age that just caught up to him, and he literally played until he just wasn't the same guy that he once was.
Yeah, and
it's sad to say, but the show must go on. Yeah, unfortunately.
There was I don't know if this is true or not, but there was like a little clip where he's talking to Jameis Winston, and it looks like he says, "This is your team now," but I don't know. I think that was a jump to conclusion type of quick reaction. Don't know if that's what he said, but Jameis Winston, I think, could be a good quarterback to take over in New Orleans. 1 year behind Drew Brees, I know people didn't want him probably to be a backup, but sitting a year behind Drew Brees could be one of the best things for Jameis Winston. So
look at a guy like Aaron Rodgers. He sat behind Brett Favre for all those years, and look at him now. He has years, is he the best quarterback right now? I mean, this season,
Aaron Rodgers,
yeah,
it definitely should be the MVP.
He's playing absolutely lights out this season, so it's paying off.
But yeah, props to Drew Brees on a great career.
We salute you.
Yeah,
it's awesome.
Any last words? Any last things you got to say?
Oh man, I don't know. It's the end of an era. I mean, what else can we say? It's sad. It's definitely sad, man. I don't know what else to say. I'm speechless. He's the last of our era. Phillip Rivers, Peyton Manning, all these guys are on their way out. Yeah. I felt the same way when Allen Iverson was gone, when Kevin Garnett was gone, Tim Duncan, all these guys that we grew up watching. We idolized these guys, and Manu Ginobili, Robert Horry, Lamar Odom, all these guys. And that's it. It's a new era now.
Yeah.
And oh man, I don't know. Talk about the torch being passed.
Yeah,
I don't know what else to say. I can't finish this podcast. It's getting depressing.
All right. Well, just remember we have a lot to talk about this upcoming week. We got a UFC card on Wednesday. We have Poirier McGregor on Saturday. We got the AFC and NFC championship games on Sunday. There's boxing on Saturday. So we got a lot to talk about this week. We'll be having a couple more podcasts up. Please subscribe, like, drop a comment. Really appreciate it. Free way to support the podcast. And yeah, thank you guys for watching this episode of the A Sports Podcast, and we'll talk to you guys next time.
Thanks a lot, guys.